Hi, I'm Ted Lange, along with...
I'm Jill Whelan.
I'm Fred Grandy, and yes, you all know us from The Love Boat, Issac, Vicki, and Gopher, but we are in New York to do what, my brother?
We are doing my play called Lady Patriot here in New York City.
And we are all on the Jim Masters show.
Oh, just like professionals.
And you are professionals and you're the best. Thank you so very much for that warm intro and welcome for our viewers, gang. I never thought that the cast of The Love Boat would be introducing us here on the show, but thank you so much. Welcome. You guys have docked in New York City, haven't you?
That's right.
That's right.
We're on 42nd and 9th Avenue at a theater called Theater Row. And we're
Walking distance from the pier, actually.
Yes.
And we're doing my play.
It's where we do our best work.
That's right.
We're doing my play, Lady Patriot, and Jill and Fred are on stage, live and in color.
Yeah.
That
Nice
is
to be on land for a change.
It's nice to be on land. You have worked together for so many years, of course, most notably on The Love Boat. Fred, of course, we love Fred and we love Ted and we love Jill and the entire cast of The Love Boat and all the years and all the joy and all the pleasure that they have brought to the television audience through this Aaron Spelling production. Aaron Spelling, the guy who really created so much of the television in the 70s and 80s, especially on ABC. But you are now celebrating working together again, and you have worked together previously in productions, but this very, very special true story that's happening. Tell us a little bit about Lady Patriot, Ted, which has been a labor of love for you for quite some time, and you've brought it to bear, and congratulations.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite plays. I've written a number of plays, but this particular, I like to call myself a footnote historian because I like to write history plays. I found this character, Mary Bowser, in a history, a history biography about a lady named Elizabeth Van Lew. Now, Jill plays Elizabeth Van Lew in my play. And the character of Mary Bowser was a character, a real person. Jill, would you talk about Mary Bowser?
I will. Mary Bowser was a very courageous, hello. I was going to say create, but I said courageous, which is a new word now, and I'm going to keep it. Courageous.
I love it.
Thank you. African-American woman who originally was a slave. She was freed by my character, Elizabeth Van Lew. And before I go any further, this is an absolute true story. These are absolute historical facts. Elizabeth Van Lew was a Southern aristocrat kind of a woman, very well educated at her father's urging. He wanted her to read and to learn about the world, which was very uncommon at that time for women. Women were taught all of the arts. They were taught painting and needlepoint and music and how to plan parties and those sort of things. But he encouraged his wife and his daughter to become educated through reading. And she had an extensive library, which afforded her the knowledge to understand the world that she lived in was not exactly what the propaganda was that she was being taught in the South. And so she felt compelled to free this beautiful, strong, courageous Black woman, Mary Bowser, and send her to Philadelphia to become educated. And then she imposed on her a little bit more by asking her, when the Civil War began, to please come back and pretend to be a slave and infiltrate into the Confederate president's White House home, Jefferson Davis, which she did. And it was an incredibly courageous, see, there's my new word, courageous thing to do. And she was very successful. She was in all the right places at the right time and listened to everything that was going on and was able to bring all this information back to my character, Elizabeth Van Loo. And the two of them then got the secrets to the North, which in turn helped win the war.
What was it about this particular story that you wanted to bring to life, Ted? I mean, the timing couldn't be better. It
Oh my
resonates.
goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful story. What was it about it that piqued your interest?
Well, see, I call myself a footnote historian. And part of that is because if I read a biography and there's someone that is African American in the story, the only way you find out any information about them is in the footnotes. And so a lot of our history has been erased. So what I wanted to do was to establish for particularly Black folks that we were a part of American history. And I came across this woman, Mary Bowser, never heard of her or her accomplishments as a Union spy. So I wanted to dramatize this because I find that theater is an easier way to tell a story. For me, anyway, it's an easier way to tell a story. And I had never heard that story. And it was a wonderful, dramatic character as this woman, this young black girl being in the Confederate White House and spying on the Confederates and getting the information out to Elizabeth Van Loo, Jill's character, and helping to win the war, helping to bring about the freedom of American Negroes that were slaves. You know, that's a fascinating story, and we've been doing really well with audiences tuning into this. The play's been getting standing ovations. Everybody loves Fred and Jill in the show, and be getting a lot of positive comments.
I mean, this woman should be an American hero.
Yeah.
You know, she should be up there with Rosa Parks. And
yeah, absolutely she should. Yes.
And Fred, when you were brought into it, tell us about how that came to pass. And obviously, you love stories like this as well. You've been in so many incredible productions yourself. What was it about this story that Ted was bringing to that also inspired you?
Well, I'll briefly talk about my courageous process.
see, it's a good word.
Jim, this is I think an important point. There are at least 60,000 books on the Civil War that have been written since the Civil War. That is more than one book a day since the end of the war. There is actually no real book on Mary Bowser. There is a book on Elizabeth Van Loo. So Ted's point about being a footnote historian, if you're even lucky enough to find this story in the footnotes, you've accomplished something. But my role in this show, and Ted and I share I think a fascination with history. For the last 3 years, I've been playing Harry Truman in a one-man show called Give 'Em Hell Harry, which Ted has directed in various places. So it's no surprise to me that we trade historical stories all the time. Now, my character is a reporter. Oh, there it is. Yeah. And so my character does not really have a historical counterpart. Nobody is named Slidell, who was a reporter, but there were a number of Civil War reporters, particularly for the New York Tribune, which was the most probably vocal anti-slavery paper, Horace Greeley's paper back during the war. And there were a number of Union reporters who not only covered the Civil War, but were actually captured and in some cases wounded, harmed while they were in prison. So that's where I did my research, because I thought this place takes place in the South. It's mostly in the Jefferson Davis household or the Van Loo household, which of course is Richmond. My character comes from up north, and I realized as I read the play. I said, well, this guy really represents the country as a whole, because everybody was wounded by the war, whether they were from the North or the South. I mean, we were just talking earlier, there were 700,000 casualties just from the war alone. In other words, combat deaths in the Civil War. 700,000. The population of the United States in that day, North and South, was 32 million. That translates to 6 million deaths a day. I mean, that's pandemic stuff, okay? So the devastation of this war is still not fully understood by either the North or the South. And my character really, I think, represents how wounded this country was by this conflict. So that's what pulled me into it.
I tell you, that's a beautiful description. And you guys have always put your heart and soul in everything. And I know that people have been very, very excited about this, about seeing you guys together, but also the telling of this beautiful story, which again is so relevant and so topical to today's times as well. Ted, what was it like putting it all together? You know, the production, the cast, getting everything together with the crew and all the other, it takes a village. When you first said, let's do this and rounded everybody up, what was that process like?
Well, first of all, everyone that's in this show is my friend. They're wonderful actors. So I knew once I called them and they committed to being in this, that was a safe territory, because it wasn't like someone new that didn't know my style of directing or didn't know me or any of those things. I've been known to talk loud, and they don't get offended. They don't get offended. So that was the first thing. And the other thing was, because we are friends, they leaned into helping me. And for instance, I said to Jill, I said, I don't have a lot of money for costumes. So everybody just bring their own clothes, dress in black. And Jill said, well, she did some research. She says, I'm going to buy this period dress that's black. And I said, oh, okay, great. Then she called me. She says, I got a hoop skirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We kind of did this on our own. And then when I got here to New York, we just accessorized what the basic thing was. Well, that's a huge, huge saving rather than renting a full out costume and it works. It works on the stage.
But the point of the black costumes, and all of us start almost completely in black.
Yeah.
And to me, that always meant the mourning of this nation over the cost of the war. Now, as we go forward in the play, we put on vests and hoop skirts and various stuff. And you can see it there. But the point of the black is I think critical to understanding this show.
Yes, see, and I did that and didn't even know I did that, Fred.
Well, see, fortunately, I know you were doing that. So I knew you were doing that.
Yes.
Even though you did not know you were doing that.
Yes, I did not know I was doing that, but thank goodness for you.
But the thing too is, part of the reason that it was important for me to not just come in. So I wanted this thing to be for Ted everything that he wanted. And so, however, I mean, I grew up in theater. I understand that, you come in with a paintbrush if you can, if it's community theater, and you do what you can to bring what you can to the product. And Teddy is my brother. And I wanted to do everything I could do to help position
the vision.
this.
Yeah, you helped the vision.
Help the vision. And I think that's what everybody did. Everybody came in and brought things and contributed. The earrings that I'm wearing in the play are earrings that Gavin MacLeod bought me. And, they just happen to be I was going to say periodically, but periodically
another new word. Wait.
Periodically correct.
She's so excited.
Correct,
She's so bowled over. She's on the Jim Masters show. That's what it is.
Yes, that's what it is. Period correct. period correct. And it's also just another homage to something that we all share in common.
Yeah,
Love of Gavin. But
we love Gavin. And so in a
Oh,
sense,
yes.
his spirit is in the room, in the theater with us. Through her
Absolutely.
earrings. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Gavin.
I know you've always spoken highly of him, and people know him, of course, from The Love Boat, Mary Tyler Moore Show, and so much more. What was it like knowing, not just working with Captain Stubing, but knowing him personally as well? I had always heard he was a wonderful man, a real gentleman, and a lot of fun.
better than anything you've heard.
Yeah. Understatement.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Understatement. He's and Fred and I, when the first year of the show, we were and the show was a massive hit. And we got kind of a little full of ourselves, and Gavin sat us down and he taught us the protocol for bringing people onto our show and treating them as guests in our home. And that was a wonderful thing. He and Bernie, because they'd been around a while, and they said, look, you guys, this is how you do this. You welcome people on the show. You shake their hand. You show them where craft service is. They're coming into our home, and we want them to feel at ease. And a couple of celebrities came on that were kind of like defensive. And then after about the second or third day, they relaxed, because from where they had come, they thought it was going to be like a boxing match. But we said, no, this is comedy. We do comedy. We want to make people laugh, feel good, and then move on. And that's one of the things. People love doing our show. We got people we shouldn't have gotten because of our reputation for how we treated guest stars.
Yeah. Now,
That's
to some degree, that story is a grotesque exaggeration. What really happened was Gavin came to me and he said, Ted's really getting full of himself. And I said, so Bernie and I need to talk to him. But I don't want to single him out. So would you mind coming on as a foil?
They said the same thing to me about you.
Yeah, well, no.
And all of these stories, Jim, you can hear about when you listen to our Love Boat podcast.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we just sold it to Princess, so we're going to be putting it together when this is over.
Princess Cruise is sponsoring it, right?
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And the interesting thing, Jim, this is a good point. This idea came to us from my son, who's a television producer himself.
Yes.
But grew up on the Love Boat, knew Ted,
Mhm.
knew Jill, and
learned how to deliver jokes from us.
And that's what he does. He writes comedy. So he approached me last year sometime, said, hey, Dad, with all of these podcasts, why don't you do a Love Boat podcast? And I said, I don't know. Why don't we? He said, well, I think I can produce it. And he made good on this promise. And so far, so good. We've done about 5 episodes so far. But we'll probably be digging into this once this show is over.
It's amazing with so many guests we've had come through our series here. As I mentioned, it's like an entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series. And one of the things when we talk about, their careers and the various things they've done, it's always the Love Boat that ends up coming in. Oh, and I was also on the Love Boat.
Oh, yeah. No.
Marion Ross, Glenn Scarpelli. I mean, all of these amazing people. And when you hear that, when you hear the Love Boat, you hear Fantasy Island, these shows on Saturday nights on ABC, there's just a continued love for all of you, for the boat, the theme song by Charles Fox. I mean,
And
all of it.
Paul Williams.
Yes, Paul Williams. All of that harkens back to what seems like a simpler time, but also it just makes you feel very comfortable, content, and good. What do you think it is, other than what I just said, from the perspective of working in television, but also really as a viewer and appreciator of your work? What do you think it is about that kind of a series that still today resonates with people? When they do Love Boat marathons on TV, everybody watches and binges.
Right.
What is it about it? You were working it, you were doing it, you were presenting it for all of us. Did you have any idea that this is what it would turn into? And what's the magic of it that still exists today?
Well, it makes you feel good. And there aren't any shows that do that. But when we first started, the only member of the cast who was really convinced that it was going to be a hit and was going to continue and even become iconic, which it did, was Gavin. Ted and I weren't sending our laundry out until the third year. I mean, but we
Yeah.
know, we've
Yep.
both been in shows, and
Yes, you
had. Or they'd not run very long. And the critics hated the show, Jim. You know, they just lambasted it and made fun of it. But it was a hit by the second week, and knocked the Carol Burnett show off of her time slot, and then Kojak. So we very quickly became more than just a ship. We became a battleship, and so consequently, the only guy who really had the confidence and faith in the show was Gavin, and he imbued us with all of that.
And the interesting thing was, too, that the network allowed Aaron to do several pilots, which is not something that normally would happen. But 3 pilots, because he was the Shonda Rhimes of the time. It was Aaron's broadcasting network. That none of them thought anything was going to happen with the show. And when it did, nobody was more surprised than the network.
Exactly right. It's amazing how many shows were thought about, and then even like The Odd Couple in the beginning, it really wasn't taking off, and then they gave it another shot, and then sometimes in reruns there's a whole other life. What's great about these nostalgic channels that run the classic TV shows, The Love Boat and Carol Burnett and Maude or whatever it may be, it's introducing it to all new generations of fans. So when you are doing your thing like Lady Patriot, I'm sure as much as they are celebrating the amazing off-Broadway play, they'll also bring up something about The Love Boat too. And it's kind of a cool thing that they still have an affection for that series and for all of you, right?
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
About 3 generations old now. I mean, we've got grandchildren that are enjoying the show, and it's never been off the air, Jim. No,
absolutely. And it was a staple on Saturday nights. Absolutely. I remember a promo once when I think it was Maureen McGovern was supposedly on the deck of the ship, and she was singing the ABC network promo, That Special Feeling on ABC, and everybody from the Love Boat.
Back.
You were all seated there, and she's singing as it was sort of launching. I think it was a big reveal of their network promo, That Special Feeling, back in '86. But, you each have things that brought you to the industry. I know, Fred, you are a lover of theater. Jill, you are too, and Ted as well. Early on, I know for you, Jill, this wasn't something, the industry that your folks really wanted you to go into, right? You sort of like burst on the scene. Tell us about the early days for you.
Well, it wasn't even that they didn't want me to go into it. It was never even thought about on their radar. My mom was a preschool director and my dad was a general contractor in Northern California. And this was never anything they considered. It's just that my mom needed to find a place for me that was creative while she was trying to teach in the summer. And they happened to be doing a production of The King and I. And she thought, oh, well, that's a good place for her to be because there's a lot of kids in it. So therefore, it'll be kind of like summer camp, but it'll be creative. So she contacted the local voice teacher in the town, of which there was one, and a switch that she also was going to be starring in this production as Anna in The King and I, and said, my daughter needs a song for this audition. She said, I don't teach kids. She goes, oh, no, you misunderstand. I'm not looking to give my child voice lessons. She needs a song to audition. So she took me on for the song and ended up being my voice teacher for several years after that. And I got the only speaking role of the kids other than the youngest King's son. And they were all doing commercials in San Francisco. And I thought that sounded really interesting. So that's how it started with the Brebner Agency in San Francisco with commercials. And it just, it's one of those trajectory things. Anybody you talk to in show business, there's so many stories about how, listen, I just showed up and then all of a sudden this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. And that's sort of divine intervention. And that's kind of how it was for me. I was seen in an audition for the road company of Annie, and Aaron Spelling had scouts there, and they asked me to come in and audition for a pilot he was doing called Friends. A very long time ago, not the Friends that we all know, or I'd have a much nicer car. But so That's how it started.
That's a great story. And Ted, how about you? Of course, you have been doing this for a long time, a receiver of multiple accolades and awards, and graduate of the prestigious London Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I believe Lynn Redgrave had a little bit of a hand.
Yeah,
in
Lynn
this.
Redgrave. I was directing Lynn Redgrave on Love Boat, and we started trading Shakespearean phrases. And she would come up with one, and I'd come up with another. And then she turned and looked at me. She said, "You should be at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts." I investigated it, and I needed a letter of recommendation. So I went to her and I said, "Would you write me a letter of recommendation for the Royal Academy?" And she said, "Of course." And what better recommendation could you get than Lynn Redgrave, you know? And I got in and I did a semester there and learned a lot about, iambic pentameter, phrasing, movement, a lot of which I use as a director in contemporary pieces because it plays, it works. And so I was very fortunate in that Love Boat opened a lot of doors for me. It introduced my writing. I wrote an episode for the Pointer Sisters. It informed me as a director, and I ended up directing episodes from the fifth year on. I would direct a couple of episodes a year. And so when the show ended, I didn't want to stop the things that I had learned. And so I continued, only I took them into the theater, which brings us now to this moment of us being here in New York doing my play, Lady Patriot.
Which is extraordinary. How about you, Fred?
Well, if I go way back, I grew up in Sioux City, Iowa, and you can't get much further from the mainstream of show business than there. But my parents were supportive. Unfortunately, they both died by the time I was 13. And I think maybe the most significant incentive I got to go into the business was negative. And it came from my brother, who at the time, when I was just about to turn 18, and he was my legal guardian. And he took me to lunch at a restaurant called Luchau's in New York, famous old German restaurant, you might remember it, around Christmas time. And I told him, I said, when I get out of college, I was about to go off to college, I said, I think I'm going to try and be an actor. And he said, well, I don't think you should do that because you have no talent. And so that to me was just enough of an incentive to say, oh yeah, watch this. And so I went to New York, and I started in an improv show called The Proposition with people like Jane Curtin and Paul Kreppel and Sam Freed and others like that. And that led me to getting a role in a 2-character play with James Woods called Green Julia. And I won an award for that show. And that brought me to the attention of Jane Murray, who was Norman Lear's casting director. And she brought me out to California to audition for Maud, because there was a character opposite Adrienne Barbeau that they wanted. And I did that for a year. And by that time, I was pretty
much... We just saw that on Antenna TV or something the other night. You were Carol's boyfriend.
Yeah, for a season.
And you had a rough time with Maud.
But then I went back to New York and did some other stuff. And then eventually moved out to California and started working. But I will just say that unlike my distinguished colleague, Ted Lange, who was pretty well known because of the shows he'd done by the time we both got Love Boat, he was offered the show. I not only had to audition for the show, I had to provide proof of citizenship and a urine test. And I was, except for Jill, who came later, I was the last guy really of the males to get on the show. And it was an ordeal. But that's pretty much how I climbed the ladder.
But let me tell you this, we did the second pilot. No one was in the first pilot.
No.
As a matter of fact, I like to say they threw out the crew and kept the boat.
Yeah, they did. No, they did.
But when me, Fred, and Bernie got together, the chemistry was immediate, and they saw that. So they knew they had half of the team there with the three of us, me, Fred, and Bernie. And then it was a question of who's going to be the captain and who's going to be the girl. And the third pilot, they brought in Gavin and they brought in Tweez, and we all, were on the same page. We liked each other. We laughed at the same jokes. It was really a kismet sort of meeting, the five of us. And then a year later, they bring in this little girl, and the little girl jumps in the mix with us, and she could swim better than any of us. She was wonderful.
I have a question for Fred. May I ask Fred a question, Jim?
Absolutely.
I did not know this, Fred. About your parents, I really didn't. I apologize. I didn't know that. But how did you get from losing both of your parents at 13 to going to Harvard? I mean, that to me is just
that's not on the application, Jill. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
My family, such as they were before they left, had always sent their three sons to a prestigious Eastern prep school called the Phillips Exeter Academy. And I got sent there too. And it was actually a little easier to go once my parents were gone. I had a legal guardian. My mother's best friend took care of me for a long time. And I grew up with her, but I got sent off to this school. And those places, they're not as much so now, but they were at the time essentially glide paths to places like Harvard and Yale and Stanford and, the Ivies. And so that's
Exeter is still.
Yeah, that's how it happened. But that's really the only explanation I've got. Whether they had, remained alive, I would have gone there anyway. And I had no vote in that whatsoever. The only interesting thing about that was when I got there, my roommate was David Eisenhower. And one of the first things we did together was I got him elected president of the Young Democrats, which the general never forgave me for.
I admire you so much, Fred. I really do.
Look at this information.
He loves it when I play Harry Truman because I say all these terrible things about Nixon.
Well, no, okay. To be fair, you are such a fine actor that I almost believe everything you said about him. And the fact that I fell down laughing watching my Republican friend talk about Nixon is not relevant, but it is. You should see him, Jim, as Harry Truman. He's absolutely wonderful. We've done it in a number of cities around the country.
We had a great time doing that.
And then we would have talkbacks with the audience.
With the audience.
Yeah, it was great. So here we are again. We just had a talkback last night with Fred, myself, and Jill, and with the audience on Lady Patriot. So, that's something we're used to. Yeah, there it is right there.
Very, very special and limited run, 12 performances, folks, at the phenomenal Theater Row in good old New York. I've been there many times for great shows. It's a terrific place, very warm and welcoming, and there isn't a bad seat in that house.
No.
You'll absolutely love it. And it's a riveting production. We're going to be there. We're coming. So we're going to be coming to see you guys.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
When are you coming? When do
Yes. We're either trying for Sunday or Monday.
No, we're dark Monday. You better come Sunday.
Sunday?
It's a matinee too, isn't it? Isn't it Sunday a matinee too?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a matinee.
All right.
But the evening is the Sunday?
No, evening is on, we don't have an evening performance on
You're
Sunday.
dark Monday.
And then we're dark on Monday and Tuesday. And then we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the fall. And that's it.
And then the big finish is the 20th, right? Saturday the 20th.
Yeah, Saturday night, right.
You know what I'll do? I'll shoot an email to our friend and, the PR people, and I'll tell you the date. And
Okay, that's good.
I'd love to see you guys.
Well, yeah, we'll see you after the show because we'll come out and we'll get to meet you in person.
It would be fantastic. And I love this shot. This is a great shot.
Where did we do this?
That is I think that's on the ship, actually.
It's on the actual ship.
Yes.
And we were sent this too, which is a really great shot. This is from opening night.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
Bernie.
Bernie.
Bernie, you know, Bernie came to see the show on opening night.
Oh, that is so fantastic. And there were a ton of photos, but we wanted to pick this one just because it's such a wonderful, nostalgic look at you guys and brings back such great thoughts and memories. And we thank Russ for that photo as well. The opening night was something special, huh?
Oh, it was fantastic. And and I told the audience it was my dream come true.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone on the stage was my dream cast. So for me, I was in heaven. You know, I really was in heaven because I got to do theater with my friends. And then we had this night where everyone stood up, applauded the work of the actors, applauded the work of the writing, and applauded the work of the directing. It was a very magical night.
Absolutely. You know, speaking of your directing, which you've done for so many years, Ted, I think one of the first, wasn't it The Fall Guy?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Lee Majors and Company?
Lee Majors, wonderful guy. He was very protective of me. We did some really good stuff on film and we had a great time. But you know how I got the job was he did a Love Boat.
He did a Love Boat.
He did a Love Boat. He and I hung out in Hong Kong and he likes Stolich Naya. And the only person that likes Stolich Naya more than him is me. So we were in Hong Kong.
I heard you like White Russians too.
Yeah, man. That's
Disgusting.
White Russians.
But Fred doesn't understand why you like them before dinner.
Yeah, well,
It makes you sick
it's still a mystery to him. But he and I were in Hong Kong, and he turned to me, and he asked me if I would direct The Fall Guy. But we'd been drinking, so I didn't know he was serious, you know. And when we left Hong Kong and went to the next port, my wife called me and said, "Hey, they've scheduled you to direct Fall Guy." He had gotten on the ship to shore phone and set up the whole thing right then and there because he wanted me. And I just thought, you know, because he had been drinking that, well, that's not really going to happen. I mean, you know, but he did. He was good as his word. And then we did some really good stuff on film for Fall Guy.
This is to take nothing away from my distinguished colleague, but when you're in China, in the mainland, there's a liqueur that they serve called Mao Tai. It's clear, and it comes in two flavors, propane and butane. And we were all drinking this stuff and then screaming most of the night. So
Yeah,
it could be that Ted was hired through a kind of Mao Tai induction.
Well,
Yeah.
everybody knows Ted, of course, you know, being your friendly bartender on the Love Boat. However, and everybody, you know how many kids always did this?
Yeah, right,
That?
exactly.
You were the guy who started that whole thing.
Yeah,
And I think they would add in like it is too.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Yeah.
You actually became a professional mixologist bartender, right? You went to
Well,
school.
I went to school. I went
during
to bartending
during the
school,
filming.
and they gave me 2 diplomas. They gave me a diploma as Issac Washington, which we hung up in the Acapulco bar, and they gave me a diploma as Ted Lange in case the show went down. I had somewhere to go. You know, I had the possibility of another gig.
Because on the show, you were using a lot of blender action, right? In the beginning?
The first year, because I didn't know anything about bartending, so I used the blender and I stuck an umbrella in it. Every shot, you'll look around and you'll see me putting an umbrella into a drink. But then after I learned I could free pour, I could cut the limes, cut the lemons, you know, I started to learn all these little tricks. that bartenders know. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
You know, it's amazing too. A lot of times when you have casts of beloved television series or movies or what have you, they don't always stay together. They move on to other projects. Some even pull out of the industry. They do other things. But to actually have a situation where you're not only friends all these years and you've stayed in touch and you have this mutual respect and admiration.
No, you're like Jill now. You're inventing words.
What's my word? I got it.
Yeah.
Courageous. Or
Yeah, that's it.
the mutual admiration that you have for one another is so evident, and the fun that you had on set. And when you watch The Love Boat, it seems like you really genuinely enjoyed your time together. It translated through the television screen, which is why I think so many people still love that series. But the fact that you are still not only friends, but actually working together continually. You've worked on I'm Not Rappaport and other productions as well. That is a magical thing that isn't always what happens, right?
I'm not sure there's a precedent for that in show business, Jim, for a cast of a television series that's a popular hit to remain not only cohesive as friends, but as an ad hoc acting ensemble. I mean, This is the second Jill, Ted, and I have done together. Ted and I have done a number of things together. And you know, now we have the podcast, which will also be a collective effort. And we look for projects to do together.
You know, and that's the thing. That's the magic of it all as well. You know, I had heard in doing my research, Gene Kelly had an influence on you, Ted.
Yeah, that was fantastic. We were told, you know, that he was a grumpy guy and not to talk to him, kind of leave him alone. And I ended up on a bus with him. We were in Hong Kong and we were going to shoot a scene, but it was just him and I on the bus. And I decided I wasn't going to let this moment go by. So I went and I plopped down in front of him, kind of looked up at me and said, well, you know, and he went back to reading his magazine. And then I said, Mr. Kelly, can I ask you a question? And he looked over his glasses at me. He says, you have a question? I go, yeah. What was it like dancing with the Nicholas brothers? And he smiled and decided to talk to me. And that's when I realized. And then after the scene, after we worked together and did our scene, he invited me back to the hotel to have a drink with him. So that was just fantastic. And he gave me a lot of wonderful anecdotes and things, you know, just valuable things, I think, for show business, you know. Be on time, know your lines, hit your marks.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I got that.
How about you, Jill? Who along the way has inspired you and maybe even mentored you along the way?
Well, my short answer and also my long answer is my fellow castmates. I mean, these are the people that I grew up with. These were my examples. These were the actors that taught me and mentored me about comedy and about timing and about discipline. And I was lucky enough to know them not just as the characters that they portrayed, but as the actors that they were. As we've mentioned, Ted went to RADA. As we've mentioned, Fred went to Harvard. And Fred and Ted are two of the smartest people I know, which
well, Fred is going to disagree with that, but we'll let it go.
He can. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
I don't think he's disagreeing, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and with Gavin and Bernie and Lauren Tweez, who we call Cindy, because that's her real name.
Yeah.
Each and every one of them, honestly and truly, were the inspiration for all of the discipline, all of the timing, all of the humor, all of the dialects, all of the aspects of being in this business, learning how to command your self-respect and all of those things. It's through these people. Yes, there have been guest stars who I've loved and who have meant something to me, but you know, they were in and out in 6 days. but I've been with these people since I was 11 years old, and I've watched them not just at the height of success, but rebuild careers sometimes, many times. And it's been an absolute revelation for me, and an example of how to be and how to navigate. And also in my personal life with my kids. I mean, I remember sitting with Ted one day having lunch before I had kids, and he had brought to the table at the restaurant these drawing books for his boys. And his boys looked up at him and said, "Dad, we're bored." And he looked down at them. And this is before Game Boys and, video games and all of that. He said, "Guys, being bored is a lack of imagination, and you both have imagination. So go create." Mm-hmm. And I mean, that to me was wow. And I've used that with my boys so many times. So these people are my teachers and my friends and my family.
Well, let me just add a short postscript to that, because when Ted and I were doing I'm Not Rappaport, we did it first in Syracuse with another woman who was not available to do the show when we did it in Michigan. And so we were just kind of spitballing about it. And I proposed, I said, hey, why don't we see if Jill is available? Because that would add, some marquee value to the production. And the guy that was directing it thought it was a good idea. So I contacted Jill. Now, here's the important thing, Jim. None of us had seen her act since she was a teenager, okay? And you've probably done enough interviews to know that not all child actors survive into adulthood and flourish. So I called her up, and she was on a treadmill. Weren't you on a treadmill? You were on a treadmill or something. And so I called her up, and she said yes before she even knew what the show was. But, she showed
She trusts us. She trusts us.
Here's Jill. She looks like she's right for the part. And, we read the play, and we heard it, and we said, oh, this is going to be gold. And it
was. It was gold.
And it is.
Yeah. And it's gold in New York City in my play, Lady Patriot. It's gold. There it is.
There it is.
It really is. And you've surrounded yourself with an incredible team of other fellow actors and actresses as well, joining you, which I think is absolutely amazing. And
they are so good. These actors are so fine. It is so wonderful to share a stage with them. They really are delicious.
And there's a guy in this show that Ted and I essentially discovered, because he was working at the theater in Syracuse that we worked at. And I'd done a couple of shows with him. And when we did Inherit the Wind, I said, this guy would be very good to play Bertram Cates, the John Scopes role. And Ted auditioned him. And
there he is. That's Derek.
That's Derek.
Josie DiVincenzo.
And then he was a physical therapist by trade, but he wanted to be an actor, and he was very torn about whether he should go to New York or not. So Ted and Sam Fried and I took him out for drinks and said, look, there's no right way or wrong way to do this. You just have to do it. You have to commit. And he did. And he came down to the city. And, shortly after that, Ted called him up and said, hey, I got a role for you in an off-Broadway play.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
But that was fun to do, Jim. That was fun to validate his choice.
Yeah, don't think he's not having a good time.
Yeah. Oh, and he's wonderful in this role.
He is wonderful.
Yeah.
Everybody's been talking about it, and I think it's just a beautiful thing to see all of you together to maintain the friendship and the professional relationship as well. And if folks have not had a chance to get the tickets, be sure and go to theaterroad.org, O-R-G. They're right there in New York City. It's a fabulous place, and you are going to absolutely fall in love once again with Fred, Ted, and Jill, and all the cast of this incredible off-Broadway play. Again, it really is so perfectly timed, Ted. And I didn't ask, but how long ago did you first think of bringing it to life? And part of that journey from then till now?
Well, I wrote this play 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Yeah. And then about maybe 5 years, 2017, something, I wanted to bring it to New York, but things just weren't working it out. It was too expensive. And then I had some fortune smile on me, and I was able to get enough money to bring it to New York, which is now 2025.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything, baby. But not only that, I had the actors that I knew I wanted to be in it, you know, and they were all available to me. So that was the deal. And what I say is now, you know, 10 months ago, this was just a history play. But because of the temperature of the country right now, it turns out to be a very important play. Yeah. Because people are trying to erase some of our history. And this play solidifies for those that don't know what our history is.
Well, it's not just that, though. I mean, obviously, the great divide in this country was the Civil War. But the fracturing that's going on now, and I know this to some degree because of my background as a politician myself, I haven't seen it this intense. And that, I think, mirrors to some degree the North and South conflict that we portray in the show, and you know, just the intensity of the last 2 days. And we're doing this on September 11th, so that
and I have a song called "I'm a Good Old Rebel" that I play, which was a rebel song. It's by Hoyt Axton, and man, that when you hear the lyrics to that, it's chilling, you know, that the part of our Americans felt that wholeheartedly. It really is. So, yeah.
It's really extraordinary again. And thanks so much for doing it and bringing it to life, and for all of you coming together again. I know, as I mentioned, the wonderful admiration you have for one another, respect, the fun you have, and you are in the annals of television history, theater history as well. Beloved and revered, very, very talented collectively, individually. And it's so great to see your faces. And, you know, we thank you for all the years of joy you've brought us. You know, it's a job, it's what you do, but you've brought it in a way that has connected and resonated with so many people in so many forms. And it's a beautiful thing. Before we go, and I hope to, as we mentioned, have each of you join us as special return guests on the Jim Master Show. That would be an honor and a privilege and a pleasure. But I wanted to ask you, Fred, I'll start with you. Why do you love what you do? Why does it bring you such continued blessing and joy? You've done so much. You've been in politics. As I say to some guests, you could easily be, you know, with a banana colada, swinging in a hammock in Miami Beach, saying, I've done my bit, I'm good. But you're still at it, you're still doing it, and you're still creating for all of us. Why does it continue to bring you such blessing and joy?
Well, having, you know, been in the public eye in a couple of different capacities, I found there are two units of organization, one in politics and one in the theater. In the theater, it's the ensemble, and that requires you to listen and pay attention and be alert and responsive to everybody around you. In politics, particularly in political parties, it's the caucus, and a caucus is designed to get together and plan how to screw either the people in the other party or the guy next to you. And that, although I did that for 8 years as a member of the House of Representatives, I burned out very quickly. And I found during the 25 years that I was not actively engaged in the business that I yearned to get back to the ensemble. And I couldn't find that anywhere, certainly in Washington. So somewhere around 2013, I decided I would try to reintroduce myself back into the business. And it wasn't easy because most of the people that had cast me in my earlier days had either quit or died. So I had to start again, but I had that yearning to find the ensemble, and happily and hopefully, you know, the residue and the continued success of the Love Boat allowed me to perhaps inch my way back in a little easier. So that's my answer to that question.
Beautifully said, my friend. Beautifully said. And Jill, how about you? Why does it continue to be a blessing and joy to do what you do and have done so beautifully all these years for the good of all of us?
Thank you. I have been acting in one form or another since I was 3 years old. I mean, in the mirror, using a toilet paper roll as a microphone, to taking my mother's freshly washed sheets and draping them over a broom and hanging it over a chair to make a stage. It's what I've loved since I was a child. And as children, we all play act. That's how we learn and how we understand relationships. I unfortunately never graduated any further than that. And so this is the only thing I'm good at. But it's the only thing that I love this passionately, other than my personal relationships in my life. And every day for me that I am able to speak text written by somebody, or improv a scene from a suggestion from somebody, or sing a lyric that's written by somebody and composed by someone, is not a day of work. And it's the old adage, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And that's what I feel I have been blessed to do. It's never been a consideration to do anything else. You know, when I was a child, somebody asked me if I wasn't an actor, what would I want to do? And I said I'd be a neurological surgeon. But as you can see, that wouldn't be very good. So this honestly is what I love the most. It's what I've always done. And it's what I know I can continue to do until I can no longer walk and speak at all. That's the beauty of this business.
Beautifully said. And Ted, you as well. You're still doing it. You're still creating for the good of all of us. You're still loving the ride that you're on. You're all in a sweet spot, and you've certainly put in the time and the blood, sweat, and tears for all of us. Why do you still love doing what you do? What does it bring you?
I was destined to be working as a manual laborer. My father was a plasterer, and he used to take us out when we were teenagers.
You can't even work the computer.
I know, man.
That is a bad thing.
Yeah, man. You should have seen me. He had me carrying hod. Do you know what that is?
No,
That's
but
wet cement. It's wet cement in a trough-like thing, and you carry it on. It's manual labor. So, and then when I went to high school, this is the 60s, and being black in America in the 60s, they wanted me to be an auto mechanic. So it was either carry hod or be an auto mechanic, and I didn't like any of those jobs because that's real work. And then my drama teacher opened this door for me, and I found out that I had a talent to do something else other than that. And the beauty of that is I walked in as an actor, and as I walked around the room, I picked up directing and writing, so that every morning when I wake up out of bed, I'm thinking about art. I'm not thinking about carrying hod or taking apart an engine. I'm thinking about songs, writing songs. I'm thinking about writing plays, scenes and plays. And that is a gift, my friend. And it was a gift that I didn't know I was going to be able to have. And my drama teacher opened the door and said, walk on in. It's all yours.
But you can't help but have that. It's your calling.
Now, yeah, that's what I found out. Yeah, it is my calling.
It is. It really is. And we're blessed that it is for all of you. And you've been so generous with your time. I know you've got a lot going on. And congratulations on everything thus far in your lives and your careers, folks. And there is Lady Patriot again. We'll continue to mention it throughout. And you go to theaterrow.org, get those tickets. Selling out fast. It's the hottest ticket in town. Good old New York City. They've flown in from everywhere to be there for you, and they're putting on an amazing show. This wonderfully critically acclaimed off-Broadway play. Barbara Eden is asleep in her genie bottle, but she just wanted to send her love. She had just turned 94, God bless her, recently.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've worked with Barbara over the years, huh?
Yeah.
What a gem, huh? Another. Yeah. There are people in this industry who are class acts, And you guys are definitely that, truly. And that's why you're so beloved. Congratulations on everything, my friends. Definitely come back and see us. I always say we keep the porch light on for all of our guests. Love to have you back. Take a deeper dive in your individual careers. And I truly hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Ted and Jill and Fred. You're the best. And knock 'em dead. And we'll see you soon there at Theater Row. Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
All right.
Take care.
Love you guys. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Absolutely amazing. They are truly class. They are television industry legends, but also fabulous people. And here you had an opportunity to see them up close and personal for the brief time we had them, because they've got a show to do. They're in the midst of the off-Broadway run, which is something really special of this, Lady Patriot. And Ted wrote this and directs it. And the stars are united from the Love Boat. Fred Grandy, Jill Whelan, and Ted Lange coming together. It is the New York premiere of this historical drama. If you joined us late, go back and watch the beginning of this again, because Ted did a wonderful job. All three did, talking about the importance of this play, and also the costuming, the production itself, how it all came together, and really something very, very, very special. And they are very, very special as well. And we shared some intimate photos that they sent along as well. There is Fred, who played Gopher on the Love Boat, and Ted, of course, who was Issac, and Vicki, of course, played by Jill Whelan, who was Captain Stubing's daughter. And there is the doc, Bernie Capel. This was on the opening night, just the other night in New York City. And this is something tremendous. And of course, Bernie, an amazing actor. You've seen him on, just watch television. I mean, he was on everything. Love American Style. I mean, every show you can think of. And truly tremendous. And the friendship that they have and that they've kept all these years since the Love Boat is amazing. And you know what I love too is the fact that they still appreciate the opportunities that came their way starring in an iconic series like The Love Boat. You know, oftentimes when folks are starring in things, it becomes, okay, that's what I did. Of course, Gavin MacLeod, they talked so lovingly about Gavin, who was Captain Stubing, but Gavin, of course, on the Mary Tyler Moore Show and so many other iconic shows and series and specials and films and everything. He's greatly missed. But they talked so lovingly about him and other cast and folks involved with the show, the guest stars, and so much more. But what's amazing too is the relationship that they've kept all these years, and they've worked together professionally in other plays, other productions. Ted and Fred, of course, and Fred was mentioning he did go into politics for a while, then moved on from it. And Jill, of course, was a real spunky character and a fresh face on the Love Boat. I know you guys are enjoying going down memory lane here on our show, but Ted, again, is a terrific, terrific writer, producer, director, as well as actor. So much more than just the Love Boat, and a terrific guy. And Jill as well, a brilliant actor and talent, and she's so involved in the industry, and Fred as well. And we had them all here for you on the Jim Masters Show, Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, and we hope to have them back individually. We were talking mainly about, a little bit about the Love Boat, about Lady Patriot, which again, I encourage you to go see. There again is theaterrow.org. Even let them know you heard about it on the Jim Masters Show. They would love to hear what you heard about it. And again, the actual play itself with Ted, with Fred, with Jill is happening in New York right there. There's only 12 performances, and they're on right now at the time of this show. Now, if you're watching this a year from now, it will have passed. Maybe this will be on the road in other cities by then. But right now, they're in the Big Apple in New York. Make sure you go get your tickets. And again, let's put on the screen for you the way to do that. Really terrific. And you guys know I work in the industry of television. You know what's really cool? One of the folks I work with, my colleague of some 20 years, is Doug Llewellyn, the host of the People's Court TV series. And I was telling Jill about some of the other work I've done in television and radio for years, all the shows and networks and all kinds of different shows I've hosted, produced as a host and journalist and writer and producer and MC and everything else. And one of them is a TV news series in New York and daily radio series in New York as well, with my co-host Doug Llewellyn, who's a dear friend and a longtime colleague. And it turns out that Jill knows the family, and how amazing that is. It's a small world, isn't it? And really, really cool. So good stuff we had for you here on the show. The stars of The Love Boat, also the stars of Lady Patriot, Ted, Jill, and Fred joining us here on the show. And it was terrific. A great trip down memory lane. You know, we've had so many wonderful guests here on our show and continue to for you from Hollywood, from Broadway, from television, from film. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up like. We would love for you to do that. That means the world to us when you give us that thumbs up like. There's a thumbs up icon on the YouTube channel. Share this episode on your social media. We would love that as well. That means a lot to us when you do that. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV, where you can see all of these amazing celebrity friends and guests who have stopped by our show over the years. And I mean, guests from some of your favorite TV shows and movies and stage performances, Hollywood, Broadway, television, film, music, comedy, sports, culinary arts, and all of the above. But some of our dear friends, when we recently celebrated the 5th anniversary and over 1,400 episodes of our series, they had shared some amazing comments. And maybe you haven't seen some of the wonderful things they shared when a few months back we had a big celebration for the 5th anniversary. But some of them are some of your favorites from television and music. And they shared some beautiful words, and we'd love to share a few of them. There were many, but we'll share just a few of them with all of you. And I'm still bowled over by the love and support that came in from each of them. Like another classic show, which was on CBS, was Family Affair. And a guest that we love and who's a dear friend who's been with us several times is the incomparable Kathy Garver, who played Sissy on Family Affair.
Time passes quickly when you're having fun. And Sissy from Family Affair and Firestar on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and my new role as Lucy in the film The Thing About Pickles, Kathy Garver, all wish Jim Masters Show a wonderful 5th anniversary. Happy anniversary, Jim.
Thank you, Kathy Garver from Family Affair and so much more. Of course, our dear friend, the incomparable music legend, Melissa Manchester, has been with us a couple of times. We love her. If you get a chance to see her in concert performance, make sure you do. She is the best.
Hi, Jim Masters. Melissa Manchester here, wishing you a heartfelt congratulations on the 5th anniversary of the Jim Masters Show. Commander of the Levities, may you have a splendid celebration. Congratulations once again.
Thank you to the wonderful Melissa Manchester. Tina Cole, who's a brilliant performer herself. She has her autobiography. She's been a guest a couple of times on the Jim Masters Show series. And of course, she starred in another legendary TV series, My Three Sons. She shared these words.
Hi, Jim Masters. Tina Cole here in front of the Lincoln Civic Auditorium with the Lincoln Theater Company. We're doing our last performance of Death of a Salesman. Had to get that plug in. Anyway, thank you for 5 years of amazing interviews. I want to wish you all the best. You are the best.
We thank Tina for those beautiful words. Another dear friend who you've seen on the Jim Masters Show series several times is the beautiful and incomparable and accomplished, all of the above. What can you say about the one and only Lucy Arnaz?
Hey, Jim, it's me, Lucy Arnaz. I just wanted to wish you congratulations on 25 years. Holy cow. I remember when you were just an anchor guy out on the street doing, people stories. And now here you are with your own fabulous show online, and you've interviewed everybody in the world, including me several times. And you've always been a fantastic support, always letting people know what I'm doing and my history. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. We love you, and we wish you continued success. And how about 24, 25, or maybe 35 more years? Congratulations.
We thank Lucy Arnaz. She is a gem. So are Patrick Duffy and Linda Pearl.
Hey.
Hey, Jim Masters. Congratulations.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, just more than a toddler.
Yeah. Have a wonderful next 5 and 50 years ahead of you. And thank you so much for having swell people, including us, on your show.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
The wonderful Patrick Duffy and Linda Pearl. They are truly terrific, and we love having them on our show when they join us. Jack O'Halloran, too, is a legend. You know him from the movies and so much more. He loves being with us, and we love when he's with us. And he shared these words.
Hi, this is Jack O'Halloran from the character Non of Superman 1 and 2. Happy anniversary, Jen. I really enjoyed doing your show. Anything I can ever help you with in the future, please let me know. Congratulations. Happy anniversary, Jim.
True legend, too. He was also a heavyweight boxer, in addition to being a veteran of screen and a film star. Jack O'Halloran, a tremendous guy. So many people sent many beautiful words, just throwing in a few. We'll throw in this last one here, which, again, is a dear friend of our show. And you've probably seen this clip before. We love him. He's a real gem of a guy. What could you say about Tony Orlando?
Well, Jim Masters, 5-year anniversary. Congratulations. Let me just share this with you, okay? We're living in a podcast time. Hundreds of millions of podcasts. And I've had the opportunity to do many of those. I just want you to know that you made me welcome. You knew what you're talking about. We became friends from the very moment we started our interview, and we'll continue to be friends. I'm so happy for you. 5 strong years. And everybody I speak to, those people who watch the interview on your podcast, and my buddies and friends who have done your podcast, we all agree you're very special. Thank you for thinking of me and always having me part of your podcast. And anytime you ever need me, please call me or want me to be on. It's a privilege to be on your show. God bless you and continued success to one of the best in the industry. God love you, Jim. Congratulations. 5 big ones. Yes, sir.
He is the best. All of these fine folks are the best, and you're the best. Watching our show, taking time to watch JMS, the Jim Masters Show, Entertainment, Lifestyle, Celebrity Talk Show series as often as you do. We really, really, truly appreciate, I personally appreciate all of your time, all of your comments, all of your support and love for what we're doing here, bringing back the lost art of conversation, not as typical interviews, but conversational, free-flowing, unscripted style, kind of like the talk shows that you grew up with. Mike Douglas and Merv Griffin and Regis Philbin, Johnny Carson, Steve Allen, and some of the greats, so many of them, with a modern twist and a modern vibe. If you enjoy what we're doing, like, comment, subscribe, spread the word about the Jim Masters Show. Come see us again. We absolutely love having you here. It's always a blast when we're all together like one big happy family, just like when Jill, Ted, and Fred are together. It's like a reunion of a fabulous family. And there they are again. Television legends and stage legends as well. The best. So great having them on the show. So great having you here as well. All right, gang. Enough said in that department. Don't forget, as we always say, to love one another, take care of one another, And don't forget to do the very same for yourself. It's really important to do that for yourself. We're living in crazy times. Don't forget, you can binge watch some of the past episodes of the Jim Masters Show series. Feel free to do that. Barbara Eden, Sleeping in the Bottle, says, thanks for watching, and she appreciates you being here as well. When we started our show, actually, we always used to show the genie bottle. And for those of you who love television, there is Gilligan, Bob Denver, sent to us by Dream of Denver. Bob's lovely wife, who's been a wonderful guest and friend of our show as well. We always have a good time with all of you, and we really appreciate you being here. Let me just show you one more time in case folks are tuning in late. Lady Patriot, go see it. Theater Row, you're going to love it. Tickets limited. The run is limited. Get your tickets fast. All right, gang, and it's in New York City. And you never know, maybe it'll end up in other cities as well. I don't doubt. All right, we thank Fred, Ted, and Jill, and we thank all of you for stopping by and enjoying the Jim Masters Show. Again, comment, let us know, interact. What are some of your favorite episodes from The Love Boat, and also other productions that you've seen Jill, Fred, and Ted in? And if you've seen Lady Patriot, if you went and you enjoyed the performance in New York, let us know. Drop a comment in the comment section as well. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll pass that along to the gang. That would be a blessing. All right. You be well. Thanks for being with us. We love having you here, and I thank you for your time this time. Till next time on the Jim Masters Show. Be well, everybody, and cheers.